We're joined right now on RealAgriculture.com by Mr. O'Neil Carlier. He is the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry for Alberta government. How are you doing today, Minister Carlier?
Very good, Sean. Thank you. And yourself?
Very good. So I guess let's talk about the Bill 6 working groups. Can you explain quickly what the objectives are of these working groups and how the membership of the panels was decided?
There's 6 technical working groups, Sean, everything from employment standards, labor relations, to occupational health and safety. So the thought on these tables that they're going to be able to get together, discuss amongst themselves, among the industry experts on these technical working groups, and come up with recommendations to then present to the government to start our deliberations on making the regulations on occupational health and safety. So looking forward to this process, and looking forward to these working groups getting down to work.
Yeah, so there has been some positive responses to the makeup of the panels, and there also has been some criticism. As the Minister of Agriculture, are you satisfied with the makeup of the panels?
Absolutely, Sean. I recognize, this government recognizes that farming is more than a job; it's a way of life. But it also, no one makes a dollar in a way of life. It's also a business. So with that, being able to take the cue from these technical working groups on the recommendations. I'm quite proud, quite happy with the balance we have been able to achieve. For example, we have 23 representatives from the Ag Coalition, for instance. We have 18 farm and ranch workers. We have two folks from the Hutterite colonies. So we have a very large majority of our members on these groups are from agriculture industry itself. And we've got other subject matter experts in business and labor, municipal officials, and health and safety experts. So I'm quite happy with the people that have responded, to apply, and happy with the balance.
So let's talk about the makeup of those panels specifically. And you mentioned a couple areas. So there are representatives, for example, from Hutterite colonies or people representing Hutterite colonies. Why is that when the bill doesn't necessarily pertain to what's going on in a Hutterite colony?
You're exactly right. It doesn't, right? Because the bill is about wage non-family workers. But we thought it was important to have representation from the Hutterite colonies there as experts in agriculture for one. And they took a keen interest when we had the opportunity to do the town hall meetings before Christmas. And you were there with very pointed, very good questions. So I thought it was important to get their perspective.
So one of the other areas that sort of has people under a little bit of confusion has to do with the involvement of people that have a strong background in nurses unions. What could they add at all to this process?
We're looking for that balance, right? So looking for people not necessarily on one particular thing that's outside of agriculture, like nursing, like you mentioned. The fact that they are perhaps have an expertise in labor relations or employment standards, that kind of thing. So we're looking for that balance as well.
So I understand the need for balance, but when we talk about how to make farms more safe, and when we talk to working hours in the farm, what context could a nurse actually provide? So when the nurses go into negotiations on what happens in the hospital, would we expect that farmers would be involved in that?
Absolutely, Sean. And you mentioned nurses a couple times now. Nurses, of course, have, a particular expertise, perhaps in health and safety. So we, get that perspective. And then, the large number of farming, agriculture industry folks on there would bring the context of their current farming practices, whatever they're cow and calf operators, or they're potato growers, or seed or oil seeds, or cereals. So, we have a really broad viewpoints of people right across the industry.
So when I look at the makeup of the panels, there's one thing that comes to mind here is that we have a cross-section of people with ag experience, farmers or farm workers, and they have people that are maybe more of a technical background and some labor negotiation experience. So should the farmers that are on the panel or farmers sitting here listening to this today, should they think of this, is this a consultation or is this more of a negotiation?
It's a consultation process, right? There's no negotiation. There's nobody sitting at these tables that are going to make a final decision. What I'm looking for is input from the consultation process on these tables to recommend, to have recommendations going forward to then aid the government, aid me, Minister of Labour, and all of government to then make those regulations.
So there's 72 panel members, 36 of them with ag backgrounds, 6 chairs. None of the chairs have any ag experience. Do you feel ag is potentially underrepresented? Do you think that ag is underrepresented on these panels?
You know, of all the interested groups of people, you know, experts in their fields and other interested parties, agriculture is by far the largest group. So I do feel very comfortable and proud of that balance, and proud that we have, you know, a very good representation from agriculture. As for the chairs, they were chosen more for their very highly skilled facilitators and looking for that facilitation, you know, background that they have. It's going to really ease the conversation, have the ability to you know, make sure that the consultation process goes smoothly, especially those folks that are not, maybe perhaps not necessarily comfortable in talking with groups. So that's really the expertise those folks bring.
In terms of the chairs, you did mention that they have extensive moderation background. They do have some background in from the union and technical standpoint. Was there any consideration given to match the balance of the panels with the balance of the chairs, where, say, 3 out of 6 chairs would have some kind of agricultural background?
More important there, Sean, I think, was to make sure that they had the strong facilitation skills that we need. I've had, you know, some experience with facilitation myself, you know, in previous occupations, and know the training and the knowledge those people would bring. And it was more important, I think, to have that knowledge there, to be able to facilitate, you know, to draw out information from all these very diverse, you know, people that will be at these tables. So I'm quite happy with the chairs, and you know, really looking forward to the results.
Yeah, so just like there was a lot of names, there was over 200 and some names that were suggested for the 72 positions. Did the industry at all provide suggestions on who the chair should be or could be?
You know, Sean, I'm sorry, I don't recall if that was. They were, you know, asked for membership on the technical working groups, but as for the chair, I think, you know, for the most, as far as I recall, you know, industry was comfortable with our choices.
Okay, and so what is the timeline going forward? There's going to be, each panel is going to meet twice in June, in early June here. Surely all of this cannot be figured out in 2 days. What is the process going forward?
Yeah, you know, exactly right. I think, you know, we have to keep in mind, you know, the busiest times for the majority of our producers, our farmers and ranchers. So it's around seeding, around calving, that kind of thing. So we're hoping June, even though there's it's such a diverse industry, there's always going to be somebody busy, obviously, but trying to get the bulk that aren't too busy. And, you know, we're going to make sure that we take the time it takes, you know, to make sure that we get this right. So there's no real fixed timeline. You know, it would be nice if we, you know, start getting those recommendations by the end of the year. But at the same time, I'm going to take the advice from these technical working groups to make sure they have all the time they need to make sure we get this right, that works the best for Alberta.
Yeah, so they're going to provide suggestions based on their individual panel objectives, based on their sections, and then that's going to go to yourself and the Labor Department for you. Like, what happens with those suggestions from those panels?
Yeah, exactly right, Sean. So those are you know, recommendations. We need those recommendations because, as you know, farming is, you know, agriculture is so diverse in the province. We've taken those recommendations then to guide us in writing the regulations. So you're exactly right.
Okay, well, I want to thank you, Minister Collier, for giving us some time today. As I mentioned in the opening, you are the Minister for Agriculture and for Forestry, and we know that Alberta has been very much devastated by forest fires this past month, and so I am sure that you are not short on things to do. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today.
Very good. Thank you, Sean.